Welcome back to Rebooked, the show where we talk about the men and women slapping me in the middle of the ring and the stories they tell of the process. I'm Golden Boy, and of course, joined with me, as always, the illustrious Jake and the marvelous Matt. You see, I added some added pizzazz.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay.
I appreciate it.
Third time's the charm.
Third time's the
Went
charm.
into the thesaurus. Isn't that the fourth time?
Fourth time's the charm.
I don't know.
For those of you who don't know, we had a little bit of a recording snafu because I decided to change our entire workflow, but it was for a good reason. I was having problems and I needed to fix it. Okay, I'm one man and we all work jobs and we're all doing stuff and we're all busy, so it's hard to keep up with everything. So we try our best. So we apologize for the late episode, but we thank you for joining us for this extra special episode of Rebook because we got so much to talk about today. So much happened. So much has happened since we last recorded. And there's just so much to dive into. But before we do that, fellas, Jake, we'll start with you. What have you been up to, man, since our last recording?
Man,
the real one, not the fake one.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot of
not 2 days ago, not the fake one 2 days ago, the real one when we really recorded, I guess, right?
Right.
We had a real episode.
Right. Yeah. Watching and playing Fallout, man. That's been my life. Just, living the dream.
Damn,
living
dude.
the dream.
I only saw episode 1 of Fallout. We got to watch more. It's
real good.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's just we rewatched X-Men 97, so like there was all that stuff. It's just been It's just so good. New episode came out as well, and I got halfway through, and I haven't finished it yet, so I'm so excited. So yeah, it's been awesome. Matt, what about you? What have you been up to?
I'm still here on location in Jersey City, New Jersey.
Jersey.
Yeah, we're still doing rehearsals today. It was actually my last day of rehearsal for the last match.
Oh.
A rock wrestling musical kind of experience, a show that I'm working on that's very, very cool.
Yes.
And and we're here we just finished up like 2 weeks of rehearsals, and then I'm heading off to TNA, to Rebellion. We'll talk a little bit about that today.
Yes, we will.
And then after that, I come back to the East Coast where we start our tour in Rochester, New York, and then come down the East Coast. So
Nice. So you guys are hitting a lot of the East, and is there a potential you guys might come out to my little old neck of the woods?
Well, I mean, the hope, I've heard from multiple people that this could take multiple forms. If it's successful, we could either take it on like another tour, or B, which I think is another route, would be something like a residency somewhere, like a Vegas, a show like that, maybe in a permanent place that would run multiple times a week, every week and stuff like that. But one thing at a time, we're going to do this, hitting all up and down the East Coast, both traditional theaters and wrestling venues. Like we're going to do the ECW arena with our musical, which is awesome.
That's freaking awesome. Wait, and how is that going to go? Like, is that going to be like full like arena style, or are you guys just going to have the ring as a stage? How is that going to work?
Yeah, like our stage and everything. Like we're setting up these venues and these like a wrestling show. So we have an entrance area with a commentary desk right in front, and there's going to be a band across on the other side of the stage. They're going to be playing all the music, and then all the stuff happens like in the ring, or like our backstage that you'll see some scenes take place is literally a little platform off to the side of the ring. So we'll constantly be circling in and out of there. There's a little bit of like suspense of disbelief, and lighting cues will show you where to pay attention. And it's but it's pretty much set up like a wrestling show.
That's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's so cool. So what's the name again, and
really
where it
cool.
could be? Because I know you've been posting a lot about it on IG.
The last match. We're like, again, Rochester, Vermont, like Baltimore, New York, North Carolina, South Carolina, Atlanta, Philly. There's places in between. TheLastMatch.com. Check out the dates. Check out the tickets.
Awesome. TheLastMatch.com. You heard it there. Let's do this. Support a
I
Rebooked.
I remember looking up the tickets just the other. Super. No reason for you to not go.
We
if
want
it's
everybody.
in town. Yeah. I wish we could go. Check it out.
Yeah, that is going to be awesome. TheLastMatch.com once again. So go ahead, check that out. It's incredible. We're super pumped for you, man. I can't wait to see you back in your element, doing some theater as well as wrestling. It's just and you're the bad guy boss, right?
I'm the boss. Well, I'm a bad guy, so I'll let you decide. I mean,
okay.
Just like in real in wrestling or whatever, sometimes the boss you want to boom, but sometimes you're like, oh, he's not that bad. Yeah. I'll let you decide.
I wish you know what? I would love to play if I ever were to do something like that, like you remember the main boss from Lucha Underground? You know, what was his name again? Because he was an actual actor, the guy that they had hired to do it, and he was Cuento. It was something Dario Cuento.
Dario Cuento,
I think it was what it was.
Was he the one with the feral brother locked up?
I love everything about Lucha Underground.
Container.
Yes. He had who was Jeff Cobb. I believe it was Jeff Cobb was the feral brother. That's amazing. We should just go to a show one day and Jeff Cobb's wrestling ad, just be like, remember, and you were a feral brother, bro, and just brother. Just too good. Love it. Man, there's a lot going on, but it has been also a very exciting week, not just for pro wrestling, but for us, because we're getting close to 400 subs on YouTube. We're starting to, inch little by little. Also, our Discord's been growing as well. So if you want to join the Discord and you're watching on YouTube, you can check the description, which is now to the side or below. I don't know anymore. Or if you are listening on whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can feel free to check out the descriptions. Links will be there as well. And if people want to find an easier way to join our Discord, I guess you could just tweet at any of us. So that would be helpful. You could tweet at me, Golden Boy FTW, Matt, Drama King Matt, Jake G Bennett, right? I want to make sure I get that right.
The link is also on our social profiles.
All on the social
Rebooked
profiles.
Pod on Twitter and Rebooked Pod on Instagram as well. The link in bio takes you right to all of our stuff.
That actually might be easier. Just tweet the Rebook Pod. Follow Rebook Pod. Do that, actually.
Follow that, and you'll find the link.
That's better, and then you'll find all of us there. And honestly, there's really been a lot of good in wrestling this week, but there has also been some, not so great. Like the payoff actually turned out to be kind of okay. But, let's go ahead and dive into it. Young Bucks last week on Dynamite, not this week, but last week on Dynamite, aired the footage of CM Punk and Jack Perry's kerfluffle, because honestly, that's what it was. When you look at the footage, it was just a kerfluffle. And they weaved it into a story. Where they were talking about how the Young Bucks were distracted. Now, before I pass the mic over to Jake, because I know Jake's got opinions on this, and I'm glad we're recording this today, because there have been a lot of additions to this. I don't know if you guys have seen, but in pretty much all media interviews or anything that they've done talking about this angle, they have pretty much only referred to it in a kayfabe sense. Tony Khan was asked about it, and he even said that it caused stress to Matt and Nick Jackson, and that as a result, it cost them their match. I know people disagree with it, but I gotta say, I respect the commitment, and that's really the only thing that stood out to me. But Jake, I know you got issues with this. I know both of you have issues with this. I mean, heck, I have issues with it as well, but mine are a little different. I want to know what you guys want to say. So, Jake, go off, King.
I think it was a waste of our fucking time. That's what I think. I think it was. I do. I think it was a waste of our fucking time.
I'm drinking water and I almost spit it out of my mouth.
Great. We would have had another technical difficulty this week.
I had set up this whole thing, and then you're just like, waste of our fucking time.
I mean,
all right. Why was it a waste?
Because I don't think it wasn't necessary for the story. It is so thinly held to it's held together by bubble gum and popsicle sticks, trying to connect that to a story. It's just such a weak ass connection to make it part of the story. It was just well, how can we show this footage and make it seem like it matters. I don't know, because like you said, it was just even kerfuffle strong of a word to me. There was backstage commotion. That's as far as it didn't do anything to make anyone look any better.
Not even kerfluffle. kerfluffle didn't even pass the word test. That's crazy, son.
No, kerfuffleous. It was a commotion. Okay,
fair.
It didn't make anybody look better. It didn't make the Young Bucks look better, which I know they're heels, but it just.
I was doing some thinking about this. It did make one guy look good. Okay. One guy looked good coming out of this. Samoa Joe.
Who?
Samoa Joe, our king, our king. Because my man went into that whole thing so fast and handled that so quickly that it honestly just continued to add more legitimacy to Samoa Joe just being an absolute fucking badass. So,
I will tell you, there's one person who was in that footage that reacted the same way I did watching that footage. And it was Hook. I mean, he just.
I was gonna say Chris Hero too. Was it Chris Hero? I believe
he was back there too.
Yeah, Chris Hero's the one. He just was like, yeah.
Like, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he's like this guy again. Because honestly, I mean, 2 times,
just the whole thing. The whole pointless. Like even like, and I get, and look, FTR came out and cut a go with what they were given, but like it just was one thing that Dax said that stuck out to me where he was like, we do this for the people who come here to get lost in our, but the problem is AEW is getting lost in their own drama. Like that, showing that footage was not necessary. It just wasn't. And you didn't need it like to make me care about this match. As a matter of fact, I'm just ready for it to be fucking over with. It made me care about it less, to be quite honest with you. I'm just like, can we just move on where we have a champion and we don't have to deal with this shit anymore? Like, I and the rest of the audience just want to move on.
And I'll say this much: they did. This episode of Dynamite,
they did.
Absolutely stellar. Absolutely stellar. Top to bottom. We'll talk about it a little bit later.
Compared to the last one, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I think there was a lot of really smart decisions that they made this week. But, Matt, now, what's your take on this? I'm sure it echoes some of what Jake said, but curious to get your perspective as someone who's, been in the backstage, seen these interactions happen in the past, I'm sure. What do you think? What do you make of it?
I mean, So I don't want to drag on too long because basically my overall opinion echoes a ton of what Jake said. And I just think that one, either just on paper, similar to Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson, we don't need a super in-depth story. We can put it on paper and people go, damn. Put FTR and the Young Bucks on paper, vacant tag titles. I'm going to go, it's going to be a good-ass match. I don't need much more than that. If you want more, great, but I don't need it. And so it was just that, it was clearly a stunt. It was announced, I believe, like on Saturday of Mania weekend, 2 days removed from when Punk kind of ran his mouth off in that interview with Ariel Helwani. So, like, I get it. It was a punch back, but I don't think that's what you use your weekly television show for.
And you had a really good point about that. You said, like, if he's there, then there's something to build off of that. But
that's the thing. Everyone always says this. Yeah. Yes, exactly. We talk about, real life drama can make great TV. Yes, if the participants are there to make it. Yeah. One of the big examples we talked about before is, the Edge, Alita, Matt Hardy debacle, right? That shit went down between them in real life. They both stayed with the company, or, Matt was let go and came back, whether that was a work or not, I don't know. But they came back and said, all right, we're good. Or, like, can we put this aside? Can we make some magic out of this? And they all kind of huddled up and they made it happen. You literally can't do that here. The subject of the footage, both of them aren't really there. So you can't make real magic out of it. But all this to say, for the last week, though, until we got to this, an awesome Dynamite, like you said, GB, my big point was nobody was talking about, man, FTR versus Young Bucks is going to slap. They were squabbling about whether the stunt mattered, or whether it was good, or whether it was bad, or whether Punk was right, or whether Jack Perry was right, whether the Young Bucks were smart for doing this, whether Tony Khan's an idiot. That's what people were arguing about instead of talking about Dynasty and the match.
I totally agree with that. Jake, what are you going to say? Sorry.
I just was, it was like, do you remember Lion King had a sex scene, basically? That's what that footage was. We didn't need it. Like, I did.
Wait, which one? The live action one? Or
no, the cartoon one where she gets laid down on that bed of grass with the come hither eyes. Go back and watch it, man. It's weird.
No,
here, I'll put it.
You watch Lion King weird, dude.
I'll put it. Go back and watch it. I'm serious.
You're that guy who's also like, oh, sex was written in the sky in the opening scene.
I'll put it in better terms for GB. Why did Master Chief need to have sex in the Halo series?
Well,
I don't dispute. I don't dispute.
We don't need to bring that sin up.
do. Look, listen, I've said we had this argument at work. I'm pretty sure when it was aired. I do not put my name as a lifelong Halo fan. I do not put my name on the Master Chief sex scene.
But that's my point.
My wife enjoyed it, so I don't know. It served someone. It wasn't me, but hey, someone liked it. No, I totally get it. It was a pointless. It was pointless in that it didn't do anything to serve any narrative that involved CM Punk, which, not there, so it doesn't really serve that. But I will say, I got to give him some flowers with the way that Jack Perry kind of pivoted off of this with the New Japan Riot event. I thought that was great. He looked fantastic. He came out, with a lot of heat, with a lot of cheers. It felt very reminiscent of kind of like what the Bucks were doing back in the day. Like the Ring of Honor days, like the when the Bucks were little smarky assholes walking around. The problem is that the Bucks now are like the EVPs, and like everyone forgot that's like what they did. They spat in the face of everyone that was talking crap about them or whatever the case may be. Now, being said, this was obviously a very differently laid out situation. But the way that I kind of read it here as well is, people were saying like, well, why wouldn't they air the Brawl Out footage? Right? Like, why wouldn't they air the footage if they have it? They have CCTV footage. Why wouldn't they air it from All Out? And there's a high probability they don't have that footage, just to be completely frank here, because it was in a dressing room, to my understanding, so there probably isn't a camera in that room. But even then, I feel like that was a very different situation. That was like a man like bit another man. Like there was like a full-on assault that was taking place. This was just like a tussle, a commotion backstage. This was nothing. And I think that this was kind of what the intent was. It was nothing. CM Punk was making it seem like this like really big thing in the interview that he had. And then they kind of just said, fuck it, we'll just use this bullshit and work it into an angle. That and on top of that, kind of air it and let everyone make their own decision based on what happened. So it kind of like served two masters. Now, could that be Cope? Not Adam Copeland, but just actual Cope? Maybe. But I think that ultimately, the way that they're even talking about it, it really just feels like the non-issue that it actually was. It just led to someone getting fired. Honestly, that was it.
Right. I just don't want this to become like, I don't even want this to become Jack Perry's entity. But
yes,
that's my fear. Yeah. That's my fear, is that he's going to come back to AEW Dynamite and they're going to bring out a local guy, just like CM Punk, who's going to be called Dead Horse, and then Jack's going to go out there and beat him, because I
don't see them doing that.
That's just how it feels at this point. It's just
I don't see them doing that. Honestly, I think that, and I think this episode of Dynamite kind of illustrated that completely. Because that was just an excellent show. So we'll pivot to that a little bit later if you're curious. So you can check out the chapters on YouTube and Spotify to jump to that if you want to hear it. But I would encourage you, though, to stick around for the rest of our conversation, because there's a lot more happening in the world of pro wrestling outside of what's going on between the walls of WWE and AEW. There are some awesome promotions. Like, for example, did you know that you could get TNA for $1 on YouTube? A whole freaking $1 a month.
Doing my job.
All right, it's amazing.
Me, right?
All right, I've been binging, literally binging TNA content for the last like week and a half now, and there's so fucking much. Okay, allow me to just go on my TNA love fest for a minute here, and there is going to be. I want to just be very frank and clear. We're going to TNA Rebellion. We're excited. It's going to be super fun. Want to be also transparent. Matt hooked us up with some tickets, and we're not just doing this because Matt's here or whatever. But no. It's genuinely because I have really enjoyed TNA for a very long time. I didn't get into it when it was in the pay-per-view era. I got into it more so in like I would say the Bobby Lashley when Drew Galloway was there, Drew McIntyre. Sure. Like I really enjoyed it then, and then I continued to keep up with it. And then when you joined, funny enough, I started to watch a little bit more because I was like, oh, let me see what my friend's doing. Oh, this is great. And the way that TNA catalogs their YouTube channel, the way that they share matches, good matches too, not just like oh, this match had happened, in the middle of the card on a random Dynamite. No, like they'll give you like good classic matches, good current matches. It is one of the best, most organized YouTubes in all of pro wrestling YouTube. Honestly, second only to WWE. Because they have 50 people that probably manage that fucking channel. So honestly, like TNA is doing it right. If you haven't watched it, you should. Let's dive in. That was my love fest for TNA real fast. Woo! Also, Impact last week. Holy shit. The Monsters Ball match was one of the most. I had some buddies of mine who never watched TNA before. They came over to watch Monday Night Raw, and I had them watch that match. And now my friend Wyatt, who we'll get on the show eventually, he's watching TNA now just off of PCO. He was like, this man is in his 50s and he's insane. I need to watch his show. Literally how he sounds.
He's been wrestling for 30 plus years.
He's a god, bro.
He's insane.
Like
and the nicest guy.
And then the match he had with Khan was just fantastic. It was like just two men that just wanted to go out there and put on a show. And sometimes that's all you need. And I know that there was like storyline behind it, but I loved it.
But that was kind of it. Like, I think they knew. There were weeks leading up to it, but it was just like, I'm the baddest monster in TNA. Nope. Yeah. Here's PCO. Okay, let's fight. It's Godzilla and fucking whoever he happens to be fighting.
Yeah.
Kind of
it
thing.
Really was.
You're big, I'm badder. Whatever.
It was so good. It was so good. So let's dive into Rebellion, and this gives me an opportunity to show off my new toys. All right, if you're watching on YouTube, you get to.
I thought you had actual toys.
Look at that. We got the ability to do screen share whenever we.
Oh, I thought you got the new TNA action figures that just launched.
Sorry. Toys for me is like production stuff and nerd shit.
I get that.
Although I do have a bunch. I do want to get those TNA figures. Those things look sick. Are they going to sell them there?
I don't know if we're going to have them on premises. I'm excited to see them too. They'll definitely, that Power Town, I wasn't familiar with them, but I think from what I've understood, big shout out Brian Myers.
Yep.
He helped a lot with that. I don't know if he's actually helping like make them in the background or he just kind of liaisoned it and helped the design, but he helped make sure that those were really good. And like, I didn't know what to expect because I wasn't familiar with the company. And then they released the images of like Jordan, Josh Alexander, and Moose. They look pretty damn good.
They look great. They look fantastic because I think they're fully posable as well, right?
I believe so.
With torso movement and everything like that. Like it's so sick. And also it's just great to see more and more effort being put into pro wrestling toys because hello, like they're awesome. Okay, well let's go ahead and dive into this. The card looks utterly stacked. There are a few great matches here, and there are a lot of matches that I'm personally just excited to see. Like, for example, this one was one that I wasn't too familiar with, but the Full Metal Mayhem of Eric Young and Frankie Kazarian. He's just two great wrestlers. I'm expecting a bloodbath. Is that what we should be expecting, Matt? This week?
If EY gets his ducats, man, he's not afraid to bleed buckets, but. It's going to be a good damn match. I mean, the story going in here is these are two long-time TNA residents. They go back to the
almost originals, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, EY pretty much was. Frankie, I think Frankie for sure was. EY pretty much was.
Yeah.
And since Frankie's come back, he's kind of wanted to be the face of TNA again. He was, and he turned heel turn on Eric Young, and so they've just been kind of going back and forth, and it's. Yeah, pretty much. It's a classic tale of, two former war buddies. They thought they were going to tag team for a minute and kind of make that run, but then Frankie's ego got the better of him. He wants to be the king of TNA, and now it's just gotten to the point where they got to brawl it out. And anybody who's seen Full Metal Mayhem, it's not too far off from something like a Monsters Ball. It's no rules. Anything goes. So these guys, especially EY, goes by the world-class maniac. Yeah. And another guy... he's not at the PCO point, of course, but for a guy who's been working as long as he has, he still looks just like yoked. He's just like this solid tank of a man. And he just wants to keep bumping and going hard and stuff like that, man. So knowing these two and their work ethic, it's going to be very good.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. Frankie Kazarian, I had a chance to just chat with him briefly when I worked at AEW, and he was just like the nicest dude.
He's the best.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool to kind of see those guys work when they were like SoCal and censored and stuff.
And can I shout out Frankie Kazarian, because Frankie Kazarian, who's been doing this 20 plus years, a guy who doesn't need to say one word to us because we know so much of his history and all that kind of thing.
That's
almost
great.
every match that's featured, he comes up to the broadcast team and gives us like, hey, we're doing this in my match. I'm wearing this gear because it's a little reflection of my old gear. I'm going to do this hold that I used to do.
Yes.
You guys could tell that story. That's the stuff you should be doing. I wish more young people who we don't know. I don't know anything about you. Why are you not telling me why your gear has that symbol on it? Why are you not? Because I'll tell you, we can't track down 50 people in the locker room to get every detail about their
That was a
career,
detail I didn't know was a thing when I did AEW for those two events. I didn't know that the wrestlers talked like that with the commentary team because I wanted to be as in the dark as possible regarding results. So when I called All Out, I didn't know that Jericho was going to win. I had an idea that Jericho was going to win, but I didn't know that Jericho was going to win. I tried to keep it hidden. Actually, no. I didn't want to know, excuse me. And then we did our meeting. We did our production meeting. And then they were like, oh yeah. And then Jericho's going over. And then they were doing all that stuff. And I remember being there in the back of my head, just being like, no, struggling to maintain myself because I was so depressed. But it was cool because when we did that match, Jericho came up to myself and Excalibur. And then he was just like, all right, so this is what we want to do. We want to try and, build Hangman in this way. And then we want to put, me in this area. And then Hangman came in and he gave us his two-piece. It was really cool. I didn't know. I had a Bible of just wrestler history. I had just so much information. I was just making sure that I was taking the right notes. Then I look and then Excalibur's notes were just 10 times better and 10 times more efficient and 10 times more legible. And I was like, oh shit, I did all this for nothing. I did it all wrong. And then he just shared everything with me. And he just shared all of his notes and everything. And let me tell you, coming from an esports background, that ain't something people do. So I was really blown away by the camaraderie of the process. I found out to be very fascinating. So that's cool that Frankie does that, man. That's
the best. That's the best. That's when you get the best stuff. I say that all the time. Collaboration gets you the best stuff you possibly can. Everybody's do this, and no one's in it for themselves. It's I want to make you look good. I want to make you look good. Let's do the best that we can. That's when you get the best stuff, man. And you can see it. You can see it in the product. In wrestling is one of the places you can see it the most when people are working together and collaborating. Oh, man.
Yeah, and I feel honestly, with wrestling, all of them across the board, you're kind of seeing it so much. I just feel to kind of bring it back over to TNA here, and we'll look more at the card. There's just all these matches have been built up really well. This one in particular, I'm excited for. Our X Division champion Mustafa Ali holding it down, and he's going to go up against Jake something. Now, I will be very honest with you, Matt, and say that I did not know a foggy bit about Jake something coming into this, but I loved their squabble on last week's Impact. I love just the way that Ali is got this whole like gimmick going about the system being rigged against him, and all. It's so apropos for right now.
Oh yeah,
and it's just great. What's your take on this whole thing? Oh, Jake, go for it. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
I was Ali cut a great promo about it. I think it was at New Japan. Was it at New Japan?
Yes.
Yeah,
He was backstage.
Post his match. Yeah.
Ooh, that was great, man. It's just one of those you can feel the emotion in that promo. It was great. If you haven't seen it, go find it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it really is.
You can feel he's. I hate using it because it's such a cliche, but you can feel that like off the leash. Mentality, that freedom, and he finally
reminds
does
me a lot
have
of Cody,
that.
man. It reminds me a lot of Cody, dude. It's striking a lot of the same. You know, Cody had the benefit of a lot of history layered behind his indie run, but I think what Ali's got going for him is just this natural, like this legacy that he's building for himself. I think is been pretty fucking awesome to watch happen in real time. Do you feel like who you think goes over in this one? Do you think Jake something pulls it off, or Ali gets the retain?
I don't know, and I literally don't know. I don't know. I ain't got no scripts.
Oh yeah,
yet,
I'm not asking for scoops. I'm more from a story perspective, I guess.
Yeah.
Where do you see this going with the two men involved?
I think Jake is the one to look out for sure this year. I don't know if this is the time right now. I think there's more legs to Ali as X Division champion. He won it from Sabin. He held on to it in a rematch, but like I think he does need a big pay-per-view kind of
Is
defense.
this his first pay-per-view defense that he'll be doing, or his second pay-per-view defense? I like on TNA TV rather. Because
he won it. Mm-hmm. He won it in his debut. Now I have to go through my own Rolodex in my head. Then he defended it against Sabin on TV, I believe. Yeah. And then at our next live special, he was in like a 6-man tag, so he didn't defend the title. So this will be his first, like, on a major one, especially one of our major 4 events of the year. This will be his first big defense, nice. One-on-one like this. So I think there's more to the Ali campaign. I think as X Division champion, and he's doing a little bit of like this really nitty-gritty, like a really angry politician thing, but he also has a little bit of, if you remember the Drew Gulak no-fly zone in 205 Live. He's got a little bit of that going on because, like, we always talk about the X Division. It's not about weight limits because we don't have any kind of, like, 200-pound weight limit. It's about no limits. It's just the fastest, best, most exciting athletes, right? And his whole thing is like, fuck, Jake something is like 3 people. There have to be some limits in this damn division. That's a nice thing to say, but you can't actually have no limits. There's a reason things exist the way they do and stuff like that. So it's a ton of fun, but I'm just excited because if you haven't seen Jake something, dig into some of the TNA archives with him, some of his matches with people like Trey Miguel. This guy, he's such a humble, grounded person, but is so big and so strong, but moves so damn fast.
Wow.
Like, he's like a grizzly bear and a gazelle. So these two, I think, are going to have a hell of a match.
That's a combination.
A death claw. If we're going to tie in Fallout, he's like
Fallout
a death
again.
claw.
Yes.
Exactly. There it is.
Yeah.
Big and strong, but he moves.
We got a few more to dive into here. This one I'm excited
I just want to
for.
I want to say about Ali, the Ali match. I say the phrase, feels like there's a lot of meat on that bone with Ali left.
Yes.
I don't think he dropped just yet, unless you're wanting to throw him into the main title picture, because I feel like he's got a lot of heat behind him. So
he really does.
I think you want to stay where that is. So I'll take
especially with him going to New Japan, right?
Exactly.
I think with him going to New Japan, it's like he's just got so much going for him right now. And to your point, after that promo he cut, it's like, I mean, that was one hell of a promo.
It really
that was one that
was,
makes you like. Very rarely do I like stop everything I'm doing. I see a promo come up in my timeline and I just like watch the whole thing. I saw it was like 3 minutes, 40 seconds or whatever. And at first I was like, I don't know if wait a minute. I'm going to keep watching this.
It was one of those where I turned it on. I was doing something else and I turned it on, and I don't remember what point where I finally was like, "Whoa, wait!" Like I turned my attention.
Like, blood's cooking
to a point. Yeah, yeah, it was great. Yeah,
fantastic. Well, we are going to have another great matchup. This one is probably going to be a match that could very well steal the show. I'm so looking forward to it, and the heat and the blood that these two men are going to spill. We got Josh Alexander versus Hammerstone. They were last week on Impact. They were keeping them separated from each other. Josh Alexander just wanted to murder him. Hammerstone knew that he's in Josh Alexander's head. I got to know here, Matt, is this like one of those situations where you get the tenured guy, Josh Alexander, former world champion, and I think one of the best professional wrestlers in the business working right now.
Yes.
Going up against a young, very ambitious, massive man in Hammerstone. Is Hammerstone like the future of TNA? Is he, or is this Josh Alexander toppling a beast of an opponent? What is your make of this story right now as it stands?
Yeah, so I think Hammerstone was one of those guys who he's one of those few guys out there. You're like, man, how has he not been scooped up yet? And he can go too. And so we saw him back at our tapings, or excuse me, it was actually on the event, the Hard to Kill event last time we were in Vegas. And that's when Hammerstone showed up. Josh got the win that night, but they did have a rematch, and then Hammerstone got the win. So here is anybody's ball game. You know what I mean? If it had been kind of all Josh up till now, I'd say maybe it's time to flip the coin the other way and give Hammerstone a big win. But he did get a win over Josh, who is our longest reigning world champion ever. So, I don't know. Josh is still very, very, very much the franchise player. Even though he's not currently world champion, I think he is one of those faces of the company. So I think Hammerstone, we've really made him a threat. He's been beating up people left and right. He's been, beating up Tommy Dreamer, and
dude, that was crazy, man.
All the dastardly things, right?
Put him on a torture rack too. Yeah. The devil, how could he?
Picking on he's the big guy picking on all the people he shouldn't pick on, right?
Yeah,
all that stuff. So I think this is the one where you get the good guy, because it's been weeks of Hammerstone messing with Josh, screwing with Josh, hurting people around the company and stuff like that. I think this is where our valiant good guy, they go to war. They both look like warriors. I think they're going to have a hell of...
Got to get his hands dirty a little bit, maybe, right?
Yeah, right. Hence, last man standing was implemented because they couldn't kind of keep that contained. So I think they both, go to war. But I think our valiant hero kind of saves the day in this one.
Okay, all right. I have a feeling Hammerstone's going over. I don't know why. I think
hot.
For me, it's just it sets up an opportunity for another big bad in TNA, another big bad guy that they could lean on, because I feel like TNA does a really good job with the big guy champions. I don't know why. It just you always see it there, right? In TNA, their runs with Drew, the runs with Mox, run with Moose. Sorry, not with Mox. Oh my God, the run with Drew, the run with Moose, and I was thinking Lashley.
Lashley,
those runs that they had, they've always done relatively well with the big guy champion. I would really like to see Hammerstone maybe even fight for the world champ one day. I think that could be cool. Maybe him versus Moose.
How can you bet against a guy with a name like Hammerstone?
I really can't.
The guy, dude looks like he was carved out of a fucking redwood tree trunk. He's
look at this man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's a specimen.
He's got one of the coolest finisher names I've ever heard, the Nightmare Pendulum.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's right. Oh, dude. That is the craziest sounding name. How did he even come up with that?
In a nightmare, probably.
It's yeah. I'll take Hammerstone all day.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this matchup. It's going to be really good. Another one, we have to obviously talk about the Knockouts World Championship match. This is a pretty interesting one, I feel like, because it feels like this is just kind of like a Jordynne Grace that is still white hot to me. I really, I mean, when I think of women's wrestling at Impact at TNA, I think of Jordynne Grace like instantly. Like she pops into the head. Not just because, Royal Rumble or whatever. It's just that she's been such a fixture in TNA for so long and has risen and has really like bled for the company, I feel like. So it's kind of hard to see
she's
her
a fucking
losing
star, man.
Yeah. She really is.
That's
she comes in like
title.
A star. Everything.
That's her title. I mean,
I think Steph can win off of shenanigans.
I think, yeah. Well, see, I thought that I was thinking Cardona's going to get involved somehow. I don't know how much he can now because he just had shoulder surgery.
Pec surgery. He tore his pec in a match last weekend.
That's right.
So I haven't spoken to him directly, but I don't even know if he'll travel and be there this weekend because he just had surgery.
Yeah. So I think that great fits Jordan to retain personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't be opposed to that if Jordan retains and the story keeps going.
Yeah.
Because this is the first time they're fighting each other, right? I believe this is.
I believe it is one of our. I'll get Tom is the stats guy, man. He's him and our guy Garrett Kidney, who are amazing at just like they have databases of like, all right, who faced who when, what year, how many times this title been held.
No way, dude.
I've got all like the
wow.
I'm the backstage drama guy. I'm like, this is why they're fighting because he hates her and she kissed him. That's me as the color guy. Tom's like, all right, he's been champion.
Tom's on got analytics.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I rib him on TV for it constantly. I call him a nerd. But
you do actually.
I know I'm terrible. But he's So they've got all that. I don't know. So if it is a first time ever, trust me, we will let you know.
Yeah, but I think that matchup's going to be great. Regardless, I was hoping for some Cardona shenanigans, but who knows? Could still happen. I mean, but I don't know. I don't think it will. Not with a.
I mean, the man's got another arm and legs, so who knows? Who knows?
Always ready, baby.
Yeah. Always ready. All right. And the next matchup, because there are a lot of great matches on the card, but it will be here all day. And we got even more to talk about because we have Dynasty coming up, and we're going to pick and choose matches on that one. But the last one, got to talk about it. It's happening, folks. Nick Nemeth, baby. He's going up against Moose, the current TNA World's Champion. And here's the thing. I'm simping for Nick. Okay? I'm simping for them. All right? He's walking away the champion, and there's nothing that anyone can tell me otherwise. I'm so excited to see this matchup happen. But it feels like, now, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but it feels like the story more or less is Nick Nemeth fighting for the championship against Moose rather than like any particular like weaving narrative taking place. Not that it's a bad thing. It just feels like we're going to witness like a really great matchup between two really great wrestlers.
Yeah. It seems like two storied, like great wrestlers.
Yeah.
And it's
like dream match
thrown
status.
in a ring. Let's see who comes out. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I never thought in a million years I'd see the guy formerly known as Dolph Ziggler fighting the TNA, honestly, lifer of Moose, who has been there from what feels like the beginning as well. So,
from the beginning of his career, he's like a newer face of the company, right? Because he came in, somewhere in the teens, exactly. Again, Tom, this is why I need you. You have all of this.
Like years, though, he's been.
But yes, years
and
years. And he has made his name and his career with TNA. So the story going into this, it is pretty much, it's not too like overly soap opera-y back and forth, but the real story is it's Moose won it at Hard to Kill. He's really established himself with this new group, the System, him, Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers, Alicia. They're kind of like that Evolution style, just like we're the baddest, we're veterans, we run this shit kind of thing, and we wear suits. It's a classic, it's a trope, but it's one that works. They are the powers that run the place kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And then Nick coming in, chose this place of all places he could land. He chose to take a shot here. He knows the talent here. His story is that he's a guy who the world knows how good he is, but maybe was always kind of kicked down from that glass ceiling back at WWE, etc. But everybody knows how good he is, and he knows how good he still is. And his whole thing coming in here is that he didn't want to just walk in and get handed a title shot. That led to his short rivalry with Steve Macklin, who I really recommend you guys go on TNA's YouTube. There's a little docu-series called Immersed. It's 20 minutes long, but they shot a really cool build-up little thing just following them in the lead-up to their match a couple months ago, which was a banger of a match. Macklin and Nemeth. And so Nemeth kind of, he earns his way here. That's what he wants to do. He wants to scratch and claw and prove himself against the best that we got here. So here's his ultimate test, his first big test against the world champion. So
it's going to be good.
And I'll give a lot of credit to Nick, both as the character on screen, but also in real life. Like, from anything I can tell, isn't just here to, all right, we'll get you a run from Hard to Kill to Rebellion, and then off somewhere else you go, brother, kind of thing, which often happens. He seems very legitimately like, I want to wrestle everybody here. I want to earn my spot. I want to carry this banner.
Yeah.
And so I think this will be a big moment for him. But as much as I will totally jump up and down for the crowning of him and let him be kind of one of these new faces.
You don't think it's his time?
I think it could be an interesting story. You talk about the narrative of because it feels like it's a very classic build up to that, right? I'm here. Sure. I want to work for it. He did work for it, beat a couple of top name guys, earned a title shot, and now he's going to topple the champion, prove to the world. I think he gets fucked.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? And then it's like, you don't know how it works around here. Good luck, kid. Back of the line you go, kind of thing. And he's got to crawl. And maybe at our next, Slammiversary in July. I think it's July. It's the summer. Something like that. He crawls back to it, or maybe it's Bound
so you
for Glory.
think that there could be some more, as Jake likes to say, meat on that
bone.
Could be. There could be, but at the same time, I think just his passion and everything has been told so well that if this is the crowning moment, I think it fits. But I think if you wanted to, if our creative team wanted to, I think they could. I think you could pull him down the mountain a little bit, have him trip him on his climb a little bit more.
Yeah.
But then and then peak it later. But
I agree.
It's a 50-50 to me, honestly.
You kind of sold me on that. I was convinced that I was going there to watch Dolph Ziggler's crowning moment. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I thought it was going to be, because I've been a Ziggler fan in WWE forever, and still, a Nick Nemeth fan. Because to me, it was like, and not to sound disparaging, but it did come across like, you know what? Nemeth was a WWE lifer. Like, he was going to be there until his career was done, kind of like The Miz, right? Like, I don't ever see The Miz stepping outside of WWE. He has no reason to, right? Like, but for him, this was like kind of a big deal, for him to finally be like, okay, listen, I got to do this. I need to make it happen one way or another, regardless of the circumstances of WWE. I got to make this happen. So I think that there is some potential there to be able to not drag it, but really let this story flourish. Because I will agree, it reminds me a lot of Cody and Roman last year at WrestleMania, when it was a great match, but it really was the AEW guy showed up in WWE and is now challenging the WWE guy. And then that was really it. Whereas this one feels like the WWE guy shows up and challenges the TNA guy. That's not a bad thing, but there's opportunity. You either let the crowning moment happen, where you get the big pop and the big moment, and let's not kid ourselves here. Nick Nemeth would be an incredible representative of TNA as champion, like hands down. Or you continue to build up Moose and his story, and then you allow Nemeth to come back in and kind of like, claw his way back into it, as you had mentioned. There really is a lot of cool directions they could go, because you still have Josh Alexander waiting in the wings, Hammerstone waiting in the wings. Like, you can't go with those guys. You got Jake Something, who could very well find himself an opportunity like that down the line. So there really is a lot of directions they can go. And let's not forget about Speedball Mike motherfucking Bailey. One of the greatest. Literally, this man is just, he's a god in the ring. He's just a god in the ring. Oh, and he will be in a match in action as well. So if you are curious and you've never seen a Mike Bailey match, do yourself a favor.
Yes.
Change that immediately.
Yeah, no kidding.
He is just on another level when it comes to... He wrestles like a lucha that isn't lucha. And he wrestles like a Japanese wrestler who, doesn't wrestle all the time in Japan. Like, it's insane. He can do practically anything. It's wild. I'm such a big fan of his. So yeah, TNA Rebellion, it's going to be this weekend, 420, and we're going to be there. So excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that main event. I mean, like I've been a fan of Nick's. I remember where I was when he cashed in Money in the Bank.
That's right.
It was my favorite moment.
New York.
Like
So sick,
that
sick.
pop that he got when his music hit and when he won.
When he walked out, bro.
Yeah.
When he walked out.
Yeah, and he's just got like, it's going to be interesting. Like, see, he's got this, like, he's somehow both like frenetic but precise at the same time. Like, he's just this. He's so good, and he's such a good technician. He can do it with this speed that is just unmatched, in my opinion. He's so very good in the ring.
Of this
he really is.
He
He can just put on a hell of a show.
Yeah.
But let me tell you from experience, you don't mess with a pissed off offensive lineman. You just don't. and Moose, bad man. He's a bad man. He's a bad man. I think Moose comes out on top, but I will pop so hard if Nick wins this one. I think
for real.
It's going to be a great match. I can't wait to see how this one goes. That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, it's going to be excellent. I genuinely cannot wait. And yeah, I mean, we're stoked. We're going to be there. We're going to support our boy in person. It's going to be a really good time, and we're so excited. So check it out.
Beer in one
Rebellion.
hand, churro in another. That's all
right.
I need.
Hell yeah.
That's right. That's right, baby. Check it out. Rebellion pay-per-view this Saturday, 420. It is going to be worth your money, 100%. And on top of that, TNA pay-per-view are not that expensive, to my understanding.
No, and then we, like a lot of people, we have our own app thing. TNA Plus. You can get that, and you can, for certain subscription or whatever, you can just get access to all the pay-per-views we do.
Perfect.
You know what I mean? And it's a really, really, really good deal,
That's
as well
great,
as
yeah.
weekly Impact episodes, stuff like that.
Oh, awesome. That's great. And also, if you need even more reason to watch, it's $1 on YouTube for just to join.
For the weekly show and see it every
show.
single week. Yeah.
Yeah, and no commercials. It just goes straight through. So it's awesome. Check it out for sure. All right, moving on. Let's. We're not going to talk a lot about WWE this week because SmackDown's tonight. We're probably going to get to, or SmackDown's tomorrow night. Excuse me. Well, tonight when we release
It will be tonight. Yes,
it will be tonight. The illusion has been broken. So
Kayfabe is dead.
SmackDown will be tonight. So kayfabe's dead. We've killed it. And there's not been a lot of movement. There's been some fun stuff for sure, but there's only been really one angle that has really moved forward, and it was a good one. We're going to spend just a few minutes just gushing. If you could just allow us 3-4 minutes of just gush. Chad Gable, Sami Zayn, Intercontinental Championship, Montreal's the stage. And look, we'll start at the beginning. They started things off with a very weird transition. It was cool, but it was weird. Leaf fitting, once again, my man's popping off on the server. Okay, he's looking for opportunities to really do creative things. And what they did this time was Jey Uso exited from his whole situation where, what was it? He had ran into Judgment Day, I think it was,
yeah.
and something was popping off there, and then he just exited through the crowd. Crowd obviously was stoked. Then he goes through the arena area. Arena's obviously stoked. And then
shoves that one dude out of the way.
He shoves the hell out of that one guy, which people booed, and I'm like, guys,
I thought they laughed. It sounded like they laughed to me.
There were some people booing, and I was like, he would, if it wasn't him, it was a cameraman who was going to be even worse.
Right.
So probably wanted it to be Jay in that instance. But he makes his way outside, and he finds Sami Zayn, who's staring at the entrance, which was more of like a back area. But he's staring, and he's like, I came into this area to watch. Was it Owen Hart? I think he said. It was.
He didn't say. He just said the first show he ever saw was here.
Oh, the first show he ever saw was here,
or whatever. Yeah,
that's right. That's what it was. And then he comes in, and from there it's just magic. It's utter magic. I mean, fellas, I want to bring you in on this. Jake, I know how much you love Sami Zayn, how much you love the IC title match at WrestleMania. This just continued to be the gift that keeps on giving. with this IC title.
Yeah, it's so good. The match was fantastic. It just like you see how much it means to both Sami and to Chad Gable. They put on a great show, but yes, the highlight was the after match hijinks. That was a kerfuffle.
Yeah.
It was I've been waiting for it. So we're doing a reverse Rocky. We went from Rocky 3/4 and now we've gone to Rocky 2. I like it. We're doing a reverse Rocky. I'm here for it. I love the idea of heel Gable.
Gable didn't need to die, that's nice.
That's true. That's true. Or in a way, did he come back to life through this heel turn?
Keep cooking, brother.
I'm interested to see how this goes with Alpha Academy, if they break up or if it's this kind of like a reluctant heel turn by the members of Alpha Academy, especially with what's going on with like Maxine.
Yeah.
I think that could be interesting. So yeah, I'm all for this. I hope he just goes full like Team Angle, brings in,
Team Angle.
If he does Team Angle with the Creed brothers.
Oh, shit, that'd be wild.
Give me that.
They could use it, honestly, because I think the Creed brothers now...
brothers are fantastic.
Everyone's seen them wrestle, and everyone's like, they're really good, But now
Freak athletes, but we need some character.
Now we gotta add a little bit in there. And the Creed brothers would be brilliant for like because like also too, I think what helps with that is you get a Creed brothers in there, you kind of get a little intermingling feud with whatever was happening with Alpha Academy, and like you can kind of resolve that, and then
you can start the breakup by having them versus Tozawa and Otis.
Yeah,
like that would be interesting. You know, like you got to fight to stay in Alpha Academy, so let's see who comes out of this one and do like an interesting little thing there, because I think they could put on some great tag matches. I think that would be really good.
And then also that gives you an opportunity, if you really want to take the Creed brothers over to a potential maybe DIY tag team reign if that happens, or Miz Awesome Truth, right? You just you continue on forward with that if you want to give Awesome Truth like a good reign. I have a feeling though that they're going to be not hot potato, but I do think that they're going to move the belts a little bit more in the tag division.
Absolutely.
Because if you keep tag belts on someone too long, it can get stale.
Sure.
I felt like it depends on the circumstance, right? I think like if it was an FTR where they were like putting on banger matches week in and week out, defending those titles,
or New Day,
or New Day,
Usos.
right? Like I think those instances make sense. But if anything, I think the Judgment Day situation kind of proved that it's like, just because it fit the story and it helped make Judgment Day seem important, I don't think it was necessarily like the best call to keep the belts on them for that long.
Sure.
Agreed.
Matt, what about you? What do you feel? What do you feel about the IC title match?
You guys, gush. I'm not going to repeat what you guys said. All of it was awesome. I just want to throw a little highlight to, I love when wrestling does things like this, just a little bit different than the usual version of whatever it is. Like this, in this case, a big heel turn, right?
Yeah.
I love the little details that made this cool. And it's just one thing, but it pops me. The idea that the traditional heel turn, the babyface wins, the guy who's turning heel gets upset, and he attacks the guy. That is what happened here. But usually you wait, they hands up in the ring, and then it's bam.
Yeah.
The little detail. Chad Gable literally ripped Sami Zayn from his wife's arms in mid-embrace, wrenched him back into a German suplex right on the floor. Like little things like that. Obviously, his wife has been featured at the WrestleMania match. Just, in this match, very strong emotional support.
She's great, by the way. She nailed it.
She's awesome. And she doesn't have to be a huge part of it going forward, but just we've seen her a few times now, and we know that emotional connection. And so, that little detail of literally ripping a man from his wife's embrace to slam him to the ground is a little bit of vitriol of fuck this. Yeah. I am done being the good hand. I am done almost, just kind of like we talked about with Ziggler, right? I'm done almost reaching the ceiling. You know what I mean? I'm kicking it through. Yeah. And I'm going to have to hurt the good guy to do it. So
Yeah.
I love that little detail.
And
But it was awesome.
Chad Gable's an excellent talker too. So you give him that opportunity to really like just go off. Like I think it could be really good.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is exciting. This is
Yes,
exciting.
very
We're going to
much.
see where this goes. Now, question for the panel: do we think that we get a Chad Sami 2, or do we think that Sami moves forward and we get a Chad bad guy build off into the distance because he finally snapped?
No, we got to go to it. You got you.
Sammy,
you
no.
can't. Do
Sammy's
that.
not taking that line down.
Exactly.
No.
You got to get to that.
Okay, so if that's the case, then
That will not abide. Sammy will not the wrongdoing
okay
of Chad Gable.
Okay,
It's not
so,
happening.
I got a theory then. Some fantasy booking. All right, here's what's going to happen. All right, let's see. We have Backlash coming up, right?
Yep.
I could see Sami potentially losing at Backlash to a Team Angle 2.0, as you said. I think like a Team Angle kind of comes in, interferes in the match, gives Chad that belt. He wins it, finally wins the big one, but he's got some help in the process, and it's the Creed brothers. If that's what happens, book it. That's
heard
what
it
I wanna
here
see.
first.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. That'd be really cool. Okay, so that was awesome. But like I said before, we're not going to dive too much into that situation because I think it's important to kind of keep things going. And we will have more WWE talk next week. Don't you worry your pretty little faces. But that's what pro wrestling is. It's all a bunch of stuff. But we do have a little morsel of WWE goodness, a little fantasy booking that came from one of our Discord users. And these two guys haven't seen what I've clipped.
No, and I'm terrified.
They have no idea what I'm going to tell them. But this is Ori the Draws booking.
Ori.
Here we go. Okay, so here are my thoughts after seeing the surprise on SmackDown. Since Roman lost at Mania, he's no longer really the tribal chief. Rock is. Solo is answering to Rock, which means we have two bloodline sides of the faction, which leads to Rock versus Roman for head of the table, tribal chief, whatever you want to call it. And Rock knows that Tama was in the Bullet Club with Cody, which was the start of the Bullet Club split. If this goes this direction, this could be so effing good to steal a line. That's good shit, pal. So now, I think that is where this is going to because I think Roman's going to come back to a babyface exploding pop. Okay, that's what I think personally. Rock is going to be the new head of the table, but the Tama and Cody stuff, I did not put those two together. And when I read that, I went back and I looked, and yeah, that was a thing. Do you go that far back, though? I don't know.
I don't think you and WWE they've gotten better. They've acknowledged their time in Japan. They've done this together. AJ and the Good Brothers and stuff like that. But they're still very much a company that likes to we're going to educate you about our guys. We're not going to assume, we're not going to go too deep into stuff that's
but
not
right now,
ours.
Tama's not their guy.
No, I know. I mean, but he is. He's a new WWE superstar.
True, but they got to explain him to the crowd. But yes, you're right. You're right.
Which they did. Graves alluded to his history in Japan and everything like that. But it's kind of that. He has made his name over in Japan, wrestling some of the best of the best, and I think they kind of leave it at that. He's of Tongan heritage, and is very tied in with this bloodline, family and everything like that. But I don't think you're not going to start mentioning the club they were a part of together. I feel like it gets muddy. I do feel like it gets muddy.
Okay. All right.
I do think we get there. I don't know when. I feel like you do have to get to a Rock Roman. It could be way further off than we think.
That's true.
Which leads to that's right. I'm claiming credit for this theory now. We already claimed the Captain America, the Civil War, or not Civil War, Endgame. Jake created the Endgame thing that IGN and everybody else stole from us. I am now calling this one. Solo, Tama, and everything are going rogue. Jimmy's out. Jimmy and Jay find each other. They try to fight off these rogue bloodline members. There's something splitting here. And then I'm calling it out, like Jurassic Park, the last scene, the T-Rex comes back into frame. The Velociraptors who've been chopping away at everybody. In comes the T-Rex, a big bad for the entire movie, and saves the day. Jimmy saves his brother, saves Jimmy and Jay. We don't know if we can trust him, but right now he is whopping the guys who've been causing us trouble lately. So we're gonna stand by his side, and then from there we get a bloodline civil war kind of thing. Maybe it leads to Rock getting back in the picture. But
so you think Roman's the T-Rex in this situation?
Yes, Roman is the T-Rex. Solo and Tama are the Velociraptors, and Jimmy and Jay are Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler, I guess.
Okay, actually, yeah, that fits. We can take that. Okay, I like that. Jake, what about you? What do you think?
I think there's two other people that could potentially be thrown into the mix that could lead to a Bloodline v. Bloodline match at Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Where it's, what's the true bloodline, whatever that can tease Rock and Roman. I don't know. It'd be interesting if, there's been talk of one Jacob Fatu being signed, which means that Roman and the Usos would need a fourth.
Wait, but who is it right now? It'd be Rock, Tama, and Solo.
And Jacob.
Okay, and Jacob. Okay. So
Rock, Tama, yeah. So they would need a fourth.
Well, I mean, the fourth would probably be Cody, wouldn't it?
I don't know. Maybe it could be an honorary Us.
Oh. Dude, that would be a pop, man. Oh, shit. I would be into that. That would be good. Oh, that would be good. That'd be good.
Maybe Jay comes over, says Jimmy's had a change of heart. We see a little show of respect finally from Roman to Sami, and it's a reluctant alliance of,
dude, I feel
I'm not
like
doing this. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it to beat them.
Oh, dude. War Games would have been amazing for this kind of format.
Yeah,
interesting.
Would have been amazing.
That could be good.
Good luck.
That's what Survivor Series was last year. Survivor Series War Games
like that. Yeah.
Again, the Rock in a steel cage, man. I don't think that's gonna happen. That would be awesome, though. That would be awesome. Oh man. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on that, see, how that goes. But thank you, Ori, for that fantasy booking. If you want to share your fantasy booking with us, we have a Discord channel that literally dedicated, a whole section dedicated to you just sharing your absurd fantasy booking. And you never know. Sometimes you might go in there, pluck one out, and read them on air. So make sure they're good, and we'll talk about it because we love theory crafting. That's literally what this entire podcast is dedicated to. Okay, so now that we've covered all that, we got a little bit more time. We got, about 20 or so minutes we could just dive into. I think we're going to keep this at an hour and a half probably. We'll try at least. Let's talk about Dynasty real quick. There's not we don't have to go through, I think, every single match in the card. But there are some good matches that are really worth the time to talk to. Now, another area where I will give TNA their flowers over AEW is when you go to the AEW website to check out their card. And I'm just going to say this, guys. You know what? It'd be really nice. I think more people would go to the website if they could access these things a little bit better. But look at this. I just want to share this with everyone. This is the website, and it's not that bad. Don't get me wrong. I could probably hover over, and I might just do that, because it looks a little bit better. But honestly,
they don't blow up if you click them.
No.
Oh yeah,
but
that's a bit of a shame.
This is
that's really nice. It's clean.
I mean, look at this. Click on that.
Boom.
Yeah.
Blows up. I mean, hello guys. I can't click on this. This is nothing. No, there's nothing here. So I'm using this porqueria. So that means garbage in
Thumbnail
Spanish.
is just a terminology. It doesn't have to actually be the size of a thumbnail.
Yes, so please, just let me expand the image on your page, AEW. I would love you for a long, long time if you're able to do that. But let's look a little bit at this card here. There are some really good parts to talk about. Across the board, every match on this card is going to deliver. I'm just going to fully say that right now. Every match is going to be really good. Even the 0 hour matches are going to be really good. But the one in particular, 0 hour match that is worth checking out is going to be the unification match of the Ring of Honor and AEW Trios Championships, which I would say about damn time.
Yep.
It will be the Acclaimed versus the Bang Bang Gang, a.k.a. Bullet Club Gold. I foresee Bullet Club Gold winning this. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I think narratively it just makes the most sense for Bang Bang Gang to get the dub here. Fellas, agree, disagree?
I agree. I think so. I think it's good for them. I would love to. I don't know. God, I actually got to text that motherfucker. The status of one Juice Robinson.
That's
would love
right.
To see him. Maybe he's been dealing with an injury. I think he might be dealing with an injury. I got.
He was injured,
but
anyway. He could be on the way back.
That's what I mean.
It wouldn't
what a way
shock
to
me
come
if
back.
he comes in. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, wouldn't shock me. And also, I'd be down with a Juice Robinson singles run. While these guys do trios, Juice does some singles action. Maybe, goes for international title perhaps or TNT title. That'd be pretty cool. So yeah, that match is. I think that one's pretty cut and dry. Jake, do you think Acclaim pull off the dub?
I'd honestly like to see Acclaim get back into the tag title picture.
I agree.
I think Bullet Club Gold's going to pull away with it. It's it's been regulated to a pre-show match. I think the old Bang Bang Gang's going to come away with it.
Yeah, and honestly, it's a pre-show match because the card is incredibly stacked.
The card is full. Yeah,
there are some matches
full,
I would have personally taken the FTW Championship match and put it in the 0 hour. But
there's not a chance in hell that Chris Jericho is going to let that happen.
What's the flag on the play?
A small one. And Jake, you're committing one of the sins I try to tell everybody not to. Stop with obviously the main event will not be on the kickoff show or the pre-show or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. But people need to stop denigrating like, oh, man, what? It's on the pre-show. It must not be important. It's on the oh, they got demoted to the stuff. It's total nonsense. Being in these production meetings, there's good reasons and good reasons. These matches are on these kickoff shows. It's not because like, what's the least important match on the show? Okay, throw it to that is not how these shows get put together. Mm-hmm. 9 times out of 10, it's because these guys are exciting, and this is going to be a great first thing for the audience to see. And sometimes it is a big consequential one, like a title. Sometimes it's not. But like I would always talk about this with Xavier Woods. The New Day and Usos did like 3 kickoff shows, and they tore the house down. And they did tag title matches and stuff on those kickoff shows. And sometimes, because you might be the only match on a kickoff show, you get 15, 16 minutes. Where if they tried to stuff you on the pay-per-view, you'd get 9. So there are firm advantages to those kickoff shows. And
that's good insight.
And I'm telling you, they're not just like, what's our least important match? Just get it out there first and as for free. So
yeah, I totally understand that. That's not how I mean it. I just mean it more like I wish it would get more eyes on it. I feel like sometimes a lot of people forget about pre-show happening.
No, so
that's why
that's the difference actually. More people see the pre-show than almost any part of the night because it's free. That's the whole point. Is like, what is a match people are going to dig? Mm-hmm. That's the other thing I would always talk to New Day about.
It's meant to sell you on the pay-per-view. It's meant to sell you on the pay-per-view. Yeah.
So it's like, we're going to get more eyes on our match because some of those people will be funneled, but not everybody will buy the pay-per-view. But so more people, in theory, are going to see you on that kickoff than they will on the pay-per-view.
Okay, fair enough.
And also, if you're watching this match, you're going to get exposed to one of the top professional wrestlers in the industry right now, and Jay White, who is just unreal in the ring. You're going to get Billy Gunn. If you're like a lapsed fan, you'll see him and you'll be like, oh, wow, I remember that guy. And then on top of that, you get 2 really good tag teams. So like, I actually agree with that. This is very exciting. But I will say, though, that to your point, yes. But to Jake's point, the fans who aren't necessarily always the ones that are right, are the ones that kind of created that narrative of
100%, 100% they did.
Oh, he's on the pre-show, huh? And then I guess just so I think there is merit to it, but you know what? We're gonna make sure that is repeated every time. Damn it, okay? We're gonna promote it and we're gonna tell people what's going on because that's the way it should be. Goddamn. All right, that's it. You got to talk about all pro wrestling. All right, we'll continue forward here with this one. Unless, Jake, did you think anything different was going to happen? You thought Acclaim's going to win it, or Bullet Club Gold gets
No, it's Bullet
merge?
Club Gold. Yeah.
Bullet Club Gold.
Yeah.
Now, we get a big trios match here. It's going to be Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, Mark Briscoe going up against the House of Black. This is another one we don't have to spend a lot of time on, but I think House of Black is going to win this. I think House of Black is going to win it. If they don't win it, then I'll be left asking myself, then what is the point of the House of Black at this?
It's felt like that for a long time, honestly. I mean, I feel like we don't see them a whole lot anyway. And plus,
they're
you
mostly
have
on
two.
Collision.
Yeah, you have two title holders like on the other side. Like that's the only thing, unless it's going to start like a Copeland Malachi Black.
Well, so that's how
program,
it all started.
and then
That's how it all
right.
started.
I know, but like really, let them, Malachi gets a shot at the title against Copeland, and maybe Brody King and Mark Briscoe or something like that. I don't know. I can see. I understand that logic of like, what the hell's the point of them if they're not going to win? But we thought the same thing about Testament. So I'm going to take Copeland and Kingston and Mark Briscoe on this one.
Oh wow! Okay, so you're going with the Mega Powers. Okay, what about the Metal Powers? Because they're all just really raggedy dudes. What about you, Matt?
I think either way is fine. Like, I don't have a strong opinion.
I actually
either way
do. Funny enough, because I've been following this one quite closely.
But I to Jake's point, like I could see them like that. We just want a nice big clean win for our baby faces and kind of. But I do think if I'm from a story point, I think I do agree with you, GB. I think House of Black is the united front. They're real bad. They've been united for a long time. I think they hit these guys, they swipe them down, and I think maybe this breaks off into some singles feuds. I think we get to a Copeland Malachi Black title feud, and I think we got to give that. Ultimately, Copeland will win, but I think we got to give that House of Black faction a win here to set some of those stories off.
So who eats the pin? Is Eddie there to eat the pin since he doesn't have a title, or?
Maybe like Brody pins Mark Briscoe, and that's his claim to maybe get a championship.
It's one of those two. It's either Brody pins Mark Briscoe, or Malachi pins Copeland.
Yes, I
actually don't think Eddie's going to eat a pin here because there's no real reason for Eddie to lose.
And he's been losing a lot.
He's been losing a lot.
He lost 2 of his titles. I think they need to build him back up.
But it also doesn't serve the story of what all this started with initially, which was Adam Copeland successfully defended his title. Then lights went out. Malachi Black ended up in the middle of the ring and like kind of called him out. So I feel like they started with that, and I think that is where this ends. And it makes, and I would really like to see it. But regardless, I would just like to see House of Black get the win at a pay-per-view.
It would be great. I hope it happens.
I hope it happens. It should happen because again, the United Front should beat the 3 guys thrown together who haven't really done any trios matches together, whereas we have only been seeing week in and week out on AEW TV that the House of Black are as cohesive as ever. So I think that's where that should go. Moving forward, we have the FTW Championship match. This was just added, so I'm actually glad we didn't record on Wednesday because this was just added after Wednesday's episode of Dynamite. This isn't a match I want to spend a lot of time on, but the story here is actually kind of good. It's a Chris Jericho who is viewing himself as the veteran. He is taking people under the learning tree, as he likes to call it. It's classic Chris Jericho. It's him being oblivious about how wrong he is. It's awesome. But with the added difference of Hook and now Taz being in this, but bold take here, Chris Jericho wins. I think Jericho gets to win over Hook and becomes the FTW champion because that makes the most sense for where if they want to keep this like feud going for a little while. You know, I don't know, fellas. We want to dive into this. Do you have any opinions?
I think I agree with you. I'm like, oh, there's actually a fun little like story here. I wish for what it was, but your point kind of helps. For what it was, I wish it would have done like a year ago. It seems silly to like, let me take you, young kid, under my wing when Hook's already pretty well established as a singles star. He's not like that new kid on the block who it's like, who's this? What can he do? We know, like we've seen him do some cool shit. Like he's very popular. He's very well known in the AEW world. So it just seems a little late to that.
Well,
but
I think that's the whole thing, though.
Right,
I think that it's an oblivious Chris Jericho who thinks that Hook needs his help because he's also trying to give like orders to like Shibata and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's like,
so I
doing
can
that?
see, and if that's the case, cool. I'm cool with that, and I could see very much especially if you want to take Jericho in I don't know if you go full on heel again with him or if it's just kind of like a tweener route, but I think maybe he does, and he gets a win, and there's a little bit of like see, told you, kid, I got a couple of tricks in this book that I could have taught you or whatever. Should have listened, and then Hook adapts and comes back and beats him in the end. Maybe I think so. I think it could be cool.
Yeah.
Could be cool.
I'm kind of conflicted because Hook has 3 losses total in singles matches, and 2 this year. One of them to the defending undisputed champion in Samoa Joe,
Damn
and
right,
the other
baby.
one in an 8-way match. So I can see Hook still winning this thing. I do think you're right, though. It does open up more story if Jericho takes it.
Yeah.
Don't know because
I think if they want to get Taz in a little bit more, have Jericho parade the FTW championship over Taz, a person who he does have like history with,
who they have history with. Yeah.
So there's something really clever here that if they can cook, they're kind of in their own little pocket universe right now, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the Chris Jericho being in his pocket universe doing storylines.
Sure.
Because he is a good...
And it seems like the FTW title is kind of its own little world anyway. You know, like it's almost like the hardcore championship of old, you know.
I still don't get it. But.
Yeah, I really do hope that this... What would be cool is if like a Jericho ends up winning it, and then it becomes about Hook getting his father's championship back, and then maybe like he wins it back, and then he says, okay, you know, I hold this belt. That means people are going to defend it. I would just want to retire it because it's yours. It's my father's, and I won this for my father. I think that would be a really cool kind of like way to sunset that title. You give it its proper flowers, but you don't necessarily do too much to like, you know, take too much time out of it. I would really like it to go that route because I do feel like you don't need to have the FTW championship involved in this match unless it is being used as a vehicle to tell the story. And if it's not being used as a vehicle, then at that point, I'm like, I don't know if I really like where this is going. So we'll see what happens.
I would like to see Jericho change the title.
Oh, that'd be
I'd
great.
like to see him win it and change it.
That'd be
and then
great,
that
dude.
becomes a whole other thing.
The JAS Championship.
Yeah, you know, I mean, something.
The Learning Tree title, you know, or something like that. That would be really cool.
Say Brian Myers did the Learning Tree in TNA before any of this shit. Just saying. He did that thing where he had young guys under his wing, and he was like they were his lackeys. So
that's
they do it. They're stealing.
What the hell kind of name is the Learning Tree? That just sounds like somewhere you go in second grade. I don't know. It's just...
Wait, are you serious? You know what? The Learning Tree is where you cut switches from to teach kids lessons.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Get it?
Sense. Wow, we had quite a few learning trees on my house's property when I was a kid. Then, anyway,
that's awesome. All right, well, I think we'll see where that one goes. Let's go ahead and move forward. This one, unfortunately, I think is going to be very cut and dry, and I'm kind of disappointed that it might be the case here. But we're going to get the TBS Championship House Rules match: Julia Hart versus Willow Nightingale. I think Willow's going to win this because they have been clearly building to Willow v. Mercedes Moné.
Yeah.
I would be remiss, though, to say that I don't like it because I think Julia Hart, this is like the first time that she's really had like a good story and like she's been great in this like heel role of constantly causing problems for everyone involved and always popping up and being a thorn in everyone's side. I'd be really disappointed. And Matt, we'll start with you on this. I'd be disappointed if Julia Hart wins, but I think, and again, I would be stoked for Willow regardless because I think she's awesome. She's like one of the only pure babyface, women's wrestlers that I think they have right now in AEW. And it's hard not to cheer for her. So, and she's an exquisite wrestler to boot. So all that works for her. So it wouldn't be the worst thing, but I feel like it just serves a master that is a little too far away. And I don't like it right now. Could be wrong, though.
No, I'm 100% with you on that one, GB. I want Julia Hart to win it. I think she's doing great. But they're clearly leaning hard into Mercedes and Willow to call back to the time when Mercedes got hurt and everything like that with New Japan. So I feel like that's the way it's going to go. Pretty cut and dry.
I feel like that. I feel like that too. The other option I could see though is Julia win and it coming out that she's the one who attacked Mercedes in the dark, leading to a triple threat later. I could see something like that happen.
Yeah, I could see that.
Just to keep Julia in it.
But who attacked Willow? See? It was a Mercedes that attacked Willow? Like, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know.
Done it?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe that's who. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was Mercedes thinking Willow attacked her, but it wasn't. Julie was the mastermind of all this to kind of, pit them against each other a little bit to take attention away from her. I could see something like that, maybe. I don't know.
I could too.
Sure.
I wouldn't be opposed to that either. I would like for this to continue to involve Julia Hart in some way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. That is my only real hope coming out of that match. And that's it. But outside of that, you guys got anything else on this one? Or we cut and dry? Cut and dry? All right. We got a few more. Actually, it turns out we're doing them all because we're actually moving a lot faster than I thought we would. Okay, this next one. The International Championship, Roderick Strong versus Kyle O'Reilly. This is one that kind of like sparked up very quickly. Even like the reasoning for it was kind of flat, if I'm being completely frank here. Kyle O'Reilly came back. He wants to prove he could do it on his own, but he comes back, and clearly it's like he's coming back when Roderick Strong wins. Oh, my God. And then, like, all this stuff happens, and it's very clear that it's Kyle O'Reilly trying to make it on his own, and Roddy Strong's like, nah, screw you. You can't make it without me, or you should have just kept going on your own and avoided me or whatever. That being said, this is going to be a banger match. I think that this could potentially be like a match of the night contender just because of the two guys involved. But story-wise, hasn't really been the best. But I don't think that Kyle O'Reilly wins this. I think Roderick Strong wins.
I think
kind of keep this going for a little while, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think he shows him through dastardly means, maybe Bennett and Taven, etc. See, I told you needed us, kind of thing, and then it leaves it. Maybe he gets one up in the end down the line, but I think this one, Roderick keeps it.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty straightforward here. Another one that's going to be kind of straightforward, but is another one that could very well be match of the night, is going to be Kazuchika Okada versus Pac. Okada is the current Continental Champion. And I would say, though, they have done a great job of making the Continental Championship feel like
Feels
it
more
has
important
value,
now.
because it's in the hands of Okada. They've been, and it's not a knock on Eddie Kingston. I think that the fault of that narrative, only fault, if I can be critical of the Eddie Kingston showered in gold arc, that was awesome, was that the Continental Crown or Continental Championship kind of got lost within all of that.
Yeah.
And it was more about the crown than it was the championship, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And now that the championship is on its own and it's in the hands of Okada, it does feel like this is a bona fide number
it's
2
getting
title
its
in
own
the
spotlight.
company.
It's getting its own spotlight.
Yeah. And it's
That's
getting a lot of
needed.
time on Collision, which is basically like what that belt was. I think the Continental was supposed to be what the real world championship was supposed to become. and because remember that was like a thing for like a day. So I don't know. We'll see. But do we think Okada loses this? I don't think Okada loses this.
No,
right?
Not yet. Nope.
Not yet. It's too much. Hey, free now. What's free this week? We'll find out next time. So yeah, and also I would like to see some Young Bucks interference. I think that would continue, and I just want to see Pac protected from this and not like lose straight out. That's my only like real hope is that Pac doesn't just like lose clean in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, this one's a little contentious, I think. Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa for the Women's World Championship. Now, Thunder Rosa has not lost this belt officially, so this would be her, trying to reclaim what's hers. Meanwhile, Toni Storm has been the best thing on AEW TV for weeks on end. So, What do you do here? Months on end. Excuse me. I'm so sorry, Miss Storm. Months on end. So, fellas, what do we do here? Because honestly, I can't call it.
I can see. They were strong with Rosa before she left, and she was dealing with injuries and all that stuff, and gave up the title. They did really seem strong with her, but man, you really struck gold with Toni and everything she's doing. I still think she's had it for a while, so she can technically. It's like it's okay to do, but I think you don't. I think you keep it. I think you keep it on her. I think she keeps cooking till the next big show, whether it's All Out or I think she go. Yeah, I think you got to go to at least All Out with Toni, in my opinion.
Okay, Jake.
I think Toni wins it. She's been so dominant. Everything she does is great. I think this could be a really good match.
Yeah.
I don't see Rosa being the one to take the title off of Toni Storm.
That's fair.
So I'm gonna go with
I
Toni.
would say only reason why I would go with Thunder Rosa is they've been doing a side arc with Mariah May and Toni. That's been interesting.
Right.
That I'm kind of curious what their... Because right now, Mariah May and Toni Storm are having the time of their life, right? Like they're doing, I don't know what it is, but every single time they come out, people love it. They're
single white female. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah. Quite frankly,
it's single white female.
Yeah. But what I am curious about though is, do you need the belt on Toni Storm in order to tell the story? Does it add? Does it create? I think maybe it does. I think maybe you want to get to a Mariah Toni match down the line.
Yeah. I think
cool.
I think especially because Toni, she's a heel, but everyone's loved her character so much. I think you get that eventual baby face kind of natural transition, and then Mariah May is your single white female heel in the wings, and I think we get to that match.
Yeah.
I think the title, because that's the goal. I need to become her. I need to take over her life so I can win the gold. If it's in wrestling, I do think you need sometimes, in a movie, just taking over someone's life is creepy and weird enough. But in wrestling, that gold gives it a little extra tangible goal that the audience can kind of link on to as well. So
yeah. Okay. All right. I'm curious, but if Toni Storm retains, not shocking. Not shocking at all. All right, next up, the match that no one was talking about, but I think we're going to be talking about it when it's done. Young Bucks, FTR, for the vacant AEW World Tag Team Championship, It will be a banger. This will be the first, one way or another, one team. And this is the thing I think they should have held on to a little bit more, but it's not a thing that you could really build an entire narrative off of. So I kind of, get why they took so many detours in their bad guy storytelling for the EVPs. But one of these teams is going to be a first-time, three-time AEW World Tag Team Champion, which is awesome. That's actually pretty sick. History being made in this ladder match, no matter what. Mm-hmm. So who do you think wins it? I have my thoughts, but Jake, we'll start with you. Do you think FTR are the three-time or the Bucks?
I do think it's FTR. I went back and forth on it, but honestly, what kind of leads me now to think it's FTR is that damn footage that they showed, and the whole promo that FTR cut after in the ring. I mean, I don't see. Because FTR is like huge baby faces right now. And I don't think the Bucks need the titles that much. I just don't. I think they can keep being the little douchebag heels that they are. They can still keep going after FTR. But I just after all of that shit, I think FTR comes away with it. To me, I think that makes more sense for them to be the ones who comes out with it.
Okay. Matt?
My initial thoughts are the opposite. Is that, but I don't have a whole lot beyond that. Because my reason being, I feel like they're going to try to go with the elite draped in gold kind of thing. Bucks and Okada walking around, look at us, kind of thing. It's an easy heel story to tell. I don't know where you go beyond that. Whenever a wrestling company gets a chance to drip a faction in gold, they love to do it. You know what I mean? Especially heels. So I just see that being the easy route. That's it. If FTR wins, I think that we're going to probably see rumors online of Orange Cassidy getting in a fight with Matt Taven backstage over breadsticks, and the Young Bucks were distracted all day, and so they couldn't concentrate in there. I was going to say, if you're going to go there, at least commit to the bit.
Yeah, commit.
And just be like, and again, you can't put it on TV, but you got to leak shit online that a fight in catering broke out, and they're getting dressed for their match, and we lost the ladder match, damn it, again.
I would honestly,
business struck again.
That would be so funny because
pop.
But it would also discredit journalists everywhere in the wrestling community. Then again, it's like wrestling journalism, so it's not like it's okay. It's not the end of the world. But anyway, that would be funny. I actually do think that they're going to do that. What was you going to say, Jake? Sorry.
I think FTR winning gives the Young Bucks an excuse to go more off the hinge. That's another reason why I would like to see FTR win, is because the Bucks can just go nuts being real weird with it. I think that would be fun to watch.
Yeah, that's very true. The only reason why I think the Young Bucks are going to win is something I'm noticing week in and week out, right? Is Young Bucks come out, and then Okada comes out. Young Bucks get instantly booed because that new song, that's booable music. It's just, you don't want to cheer for that song. It's a booing song. But then Okada comes out and it's instant cheers because, it's fucking Okada, right? It's one of the greatest of all time. So I want to think that they want to get more heel heat on Okada. And I would like to see Okada be the one to contribute to the Young Bucks winning. I want to see Okada interfere in the match and help them, because the only person that's got an individual that, can interfere in this matchup, so to speak, right, on their side is the Bucks, because they have Okada. So it would feel like it would be weird if they just did a straight tag match where the FTR climbs up to the top, grabs the championships, and then you're done.
To be fair, to your point, I'm trying to think, and there's been some things I've missed, I know, but has Okada, since coming here and joining the Bucks and kind of being a heel, but has he done anything really? He's been arrogant in matches and beat up local guys. He's been in the fights.
Guys. He's been in the kerfluffles, the onstage kerfluffles.
But has he interfered in a match? Has he low-blowed anybody?
He hasn't been that. No, because if anything, what they've been getting across is that Okada is legit as shit. Right? That's the reason why he's holding Continental Championship. Man shows up. You see his record. He's 4-0. He's 4-0 in AEW. He's already a champion. So it's that, I think, was what they've been spinning with Okada. But I do agree with you. I would love to just see Okada get his hands dirty and actually get booed, because he needs to get booed. Right now, he's a guy that everyone loves and they're cheering for him. You got to put heat on him. Otherwise, this team is going to feel weird and disjointed.
I agree.
So I'm curious, man. It's going to be really fun. That's regardless, great matchup. Again, Don't know if you caught the theme. Every match in the card is going to be good. A
lot of really good match
It's going to be good across the board.
100%.
Now we have our final 2-1, so this is what we'll spend a good chunk of time. Speaking of real fast, we'll do Danielson Ospreay here.
This one I don't have as weird as
I don't know who wins.
Yeah, and I don't think we have a whole lot to say on this one. Not in a bad way, but just in that it's gonna fucking rule.
There's no story, but that is the story.
I do wish they would. We've talked about this privately. I wish in their individual matches, commentary would have put this match over a little bit more. They kind of just talked about Will versus Hobbs and Brett. I wish they would have been hyping up man, this is what they got to look forward to it.
Yeah.
But we're here. It's going to happen. It's going to be awesome.
There was one nugget that was done at the end of Dynamite. I don't know if you guys saw that. Did you see when the Don Callis family came out?
Yes.
Yeah. So I feel like that's a little nugget that they're going to toss.
Yeah.
In. Something with Don Callis.
I kind of feel like either someone in the Callis family is pissed off that Will's getting all this attention and causes him the match.
That's for sure going to be happening somehow, some way.
I mean, they've been calling him the Golden Goose on air, pretty much.
So I can see them costing Ospreay the match, but also I can see him winning because he's just it feels like he's being built up big time.
Yeah.
You're right. You reminding me of that makes me feel like this is a little less cut and dry. I kind of felt like it's leaning Ospreay.
You know what? Same, man. Yeah, good GB. That's a good point.
Yeah. But that
I just
does
think
muddy the waters.
There's more to it there in that direction than there is in the Danielson direction. Because at this point, we just know what Danielson's objective is. He's just going to have great matches.
Yeah.
That's really all he cares about. And you know what? It's great. Because I know I said there was a lot of goats. He's one of them. I mean, both literally and and metaphorically.
Yeah.
You know?
So, from a booking and the way things seem to keep going for Ospreay, and especially with Danielson, this is kind of his final tour, if you will. Obviously, knowing him, he's going to want to be putting a lot of people over in these awesome matches. So the common logic says Ospreay does defeat the American Dragon. He kind of establishes himself as the true best in the world, sort of thing.
But does he do it cleanly?
But I think the story, maybe it's that even too. I think there's more story with Will breaking out of this Callis family. My initial thought was someone like Hobbs costs Ospreay the match, but what if they come out and cost Danielson the match and it pisses off Ospreay? I don't fucking need you guys to do that.
Exactly.
What do you know? We're a family. We all watch each other's back. No, fuck that. And it leads to Danielson and Ospreay versus the Callis family in a tag match or something like that. I think that's the most interesting outcome, actually. It gets Will the win, but it gets muddied. They team up maybe, and then we get a rematch at another pay-per-view where it's clean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we could always use more Ospreay Danielson.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I don't think that this is done, but I will agree with you on the build up, because I feel like they have been, when they mention it on commentary, I feel like they are hitting Danielson Ospreay is going to be a great match, but I don't know, it's hard to pinpoint, but I agree with what you were saying.
No, it's here's, and again, maybe it's as a commentator, it really grinds my gears. I watched, I think it was Will versus the Battle of Wills.
Yeah.
Not one single mention of Danielson, the match, or the Dynasty pay-per-view until the last 3 seconds before commercial, when he said, "Oh, well, these two are going to be facing a Dynasty on May." Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That was it. There's no reason to not pepper that in, and the whole point of that match is not a good wrestling match between Will Hobbs and Will Ospreay. The whole point of that match is Will Ospreay is testing himself against some of the best in preparation for his match with Danielson. What has Danielson got to look forward to? Danielson should be watching this match. I'm sure he's got his eyes glued to a monitor, watching what Will Ospreay can do out here with all kinds of opponents over the last several weeks.
Yeah.
Things like that. Why isn't Danielson on commentary? Maybe there's a reason.
Don Callis was on commentary, to be fair. Whenever Don Callis family members come out, Don Callis is on commentary. And it works because Don Callis is quite good at pushing a lot of that forward. But even
why
then,
why isn't he going? Oh, Danielson should be scared, man. Look at what Will Ospreay's doing in there. He better be shaking in his little vegan boots back there, or something like that. You know what I mean? But again, he didn't. It felt like there were a couple of missed opportunities.
For sure. But this one is going to be an interesting one. I don't think it's as easy as Will Ospreay is going to win. I want to think that there's just a bit more at play here. Okay, well, that moves us forward to the last match. And you know what? I think I have an image. I have a better image for this that I want to use. It's not a troll or anything. It just looks a little bit better because I want to. Oh, I forgot that I had clipped it and it was like pixelated as hell, but it doesn't matter because I want to just share this moment right here. This moment
was awesome.
It was freaking awesome, man.
It was awesome.
And we're talking about Samoa Joe, Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Championship. I have been so excited for this matchup. This is going to be so fucking good. Both men are really just working some incredible matches right now. And the way that they have built up the animosity between these two guys has been so good. Also, they did the interviews throughout. I was really disappointed that they were just going to do these like taped interviews. And then Swerve was like, nah, I want to see you in the middle of the ring. And then I thought, okay, something got to pop off here. And this was the moment we got. Swerve Goomba stomping a bunch of security guards.
Dude,
for
that
face-to-face.
was sick.
I can't believe he landed on his feet.
That's the part that was shocking was that he stuck a superhero landing off of that. That was wild.
I'm gonna see if I can find it real fast because that was insane.
I have to imagine in knowing Swerve in his head, like that was the goal, right? Like that would be sweet. But I'm fully prepared to just like stomp through, hit the ground, and just bow up to Joe, right? Again, coming from a wrestler's mind, the idea is like, dude, this would be sick if I could land it, but this is wrestling. Shit happens. So I'm fully ready to hit the ground. Watch this shit. If you're watching on video,
crazy.
Rick stepped on the right guy's shoulder and ricocheted and caught himself. And it was such.
Gonna play it over again.
Sick shot.
I mean, it was. And again, this is just taking those risks. I mean, I would have broke something there, bro. I would have broke something there. And look at the face off. The camera work
and the control to like, and again, Swerve's always good at this stuff to slowly rise back up. He didn't just like hop up and like bow up. It was he knows that timing. He knows that pace.
It was so good. It was so good, man.
Very, very good.
Yeah, so now with that, as we get ready for this matchup at Dynasty, it pains me. Pains me to say this.
Right? It doesn't feel like it's there.
It doesn't feel like he's going to win.
It's not the time.
Okay, good. So I'm not alone on this.
I know, and I'm with you. I have the same thought. I'm like, I want it to be there, but it's not like, tell me if this makes sense. Because it's been good. Like, it's been a good build-up. Swerve's cutting great promos. Joe's cutting great promos. The tension's there. But it feels mid, or not mid. That's not fair. It feels fine, a perfectly normal, like a good build up to a contentious title feud. But for Swerve, with all the heat and momentum he's gotten, I feel like when he wins, it's got to be one of those like really big, and it doesn't feel like it's that.
I have a theory, but I want to hear what Jake thinks because I'm curious what your take is on this. Do you think Swerve gets that win at Dynasty?
I'm kind of conflicted on this because it does feel. I don't know. Part of me is like, put the title on Swerve, but I don't know if we've reached that boiling point yet. Like,
I want him to have a more epic, like bubbling over it.
What I'm conflicted with is I don't know. I don't know where it goes from here.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I'm conflicted on is with either outcome, I don't know where it goes.
I have thoughts. And opinions.
My only thought and opinion is I feel like Swerve needs I don't know if it's all in, but maybe an all out. I think he needs like an all out win. He needs his Mania style moment for AEW. I think he needs one of those. So
my only fear is that we're about to is that there's someone we haven't seen in a month who could really fuck this up. And I just hope that we don't rehash it over and over again.
I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think so. I think Hangman's taken a very well-deserved break. I mean, honestly, I would like to see Hangman take the title off of Okada. Personally speaking, I think that would be a much more compelling narrative for a returning good guy Hangman. Unless they want to continue with the bad guy angle, which I'm not disappointed.
I think he comes back as a heel.
I would like for him to be a heel. But, I mean, if he comes back, he's going to come back as a pop. So they got to, figure that out, right? That's just easy to do. Here's my...
Until he does whatever it is that he does.
Exactly.
Well, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Here's my perspective. So, you're right. You're both right. There hasn't been, to say it for a fifth time, enough meat on the bone. All right? But this is a chunky boy. Okay, it's a chunker. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about why this is a chunker. Okay, because clearly what has been built here is two guys who are despising each other. But there's something in particular that Samoa Joe said on this week's Dynamite that leads me to believe that they're going with the Joe win. And it's that Swerve Strickland's always the choke artist. Now, here's the thing. The choke artist thing has been used a bunch of times in the past, right? But where I find this to be particularly interesting is that Swerve didn't lose his match against. He didn't lose. He didn't get pinned in the match against at the Triple Threat, right? He didn't get pinned. It was Hangman who got pinned, right? And even when Swerve has had those opportunities, sure, he fell short, as he says, he fell short. But they've been doing something that I hope this is the case. Week in and week out, what has Samoa Joe been doing every single time he makes his way to the ring? He's been having straight up, good-ass matches where he's just been a strong champion, going over against formidable opponents, and it's been clean in the middle of the ring. It's been tough, but it's been clean, right? Mm-hmm. Swerve Strickland is like the up-and-comer. He's the guy who's now like vying for that. And Samoa Joe, well, he was taking the distance even against guys like Dustin Rhodes. He was taking the distance against him. So what I think is going to happen here is that Joe's going to cheat. For the first time, he's going to cheat to retain his title. And the only way that he's going to be able to beat Swerve Strickland is with some shenanigans. And that is going to lead to a Swerve Strickland saying, you said I was a choke artist. I had you. But then you had to go and pull off whatever that was thing that they do.
And Joe will play it off like...
that's when you get more into Joe's, just under his skin, because Joe couldn't win by being a dominant champion, the way that he became a champion to begin with. Which, by the way, he became a champion by beating and battered MJF. So let's not act like he's, been completely absolved in this process.
Right, that's but we could also, great champions find a way to win. Like Joe could lean into it and be like, I don't give a shit. At the end of the day, I'm still the one with the title on my shoulder.
That's fair. That's true.
Great champions win.
I would love to see it be, it's hard to think of exactly what. Like, please.
The chain. It's going to be the chain.
Smaller. I want it to be something so subtle and shitty. That, it's one of those things that if it were a real fight, that only the two of them would know. Not distract the ref, hit him with a chair. Not low blow him. Something like they're in a hold and it's an illegal choke. He's crushing, or he's got something in his hand and he's pressing it into Swerve's neck in the chokehold.
Yeah, if he took some shit from the chain maybe and put it underneath his stuff and then choke. There's definitely something there.
He takes Prince Nana's crown and just beats the shit out of.
Dude, I really would like to see a desperate Joe clinging on to his championship because he has billed himself as this big deal. And Swerve's a choke artist. There's just no way he's going to be able to win. Right. And then just as Swerve is about to pull off that win, just as he's about to get that big moment, you get Joe jumping in because the crowd's going to eat it up. The crowd's going to eat it up. I think the crowd is going to be fully just rock hard for Swerve to just win that championship, man. Real talk.
Joe is Tyson, and he's got to bite an ear. You know what I mean? he goes over there. He loses it a little bit. Like, he's the prize fighter. He's beating everybody, whooping everybody. And hot damn, this kid gave him too much trouble, and I got to pull some wild shit to beat him. Yeah, I like that a lot, GB. I like that a lot.
That's some good old fashioned fan.
I mean, he already made Swerve bleed once. There's no question that he's going to make him bleed again. To me,
yeah. There will be blood. There has to be blood.
I'm going to take Joe. I'm going to take Joe. I don't think any of us have said it for sure. I'm taking Joe. I will never bet against Samoa Joe.
I'm taking Joe too.
By nefarious means.
Also, we will forever be simps of Samoa Joe on this podcast, so it doesn't matter. Oh, that's it. Samoa Joe, my king. Walk away with that title. I hope you do it. But Swerve, oh man, when he gets that moment,
it'll be sweet when he does. Yes,
it's gonna be fucking delicious, man. Anyway, so that's AEW Dynasty. We went very, very long, but honestly, the card's gonna be fantastic. There's so much to dive into. So let's pose our question of the week. Who walks away as the champion at Dynasty, and who walks away as the champion at Rebellion? Let us know in the comments down below. Your options are Samoa Joe, Swerve Strickland, or Moose and Nick Nemeth, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, in case you guys need a refresher there. So let us know in the comment section. We want to hear from you. Also for our Discord, we want to hear from you guys as well. But before we close out, let's do our Rebooked 24/7 Champion of the Week. I have a very fun nomination, but is there anyone right now they want to nominate?
Just coming off our last conversation, yes. I want to give it to the security guards who Swerve jumped on. Because I'm going to pretend in my head that they gave him a perfect platform. They knew exactly what they were doing and felt... Probably wasn't. But I'm going to pretend that they did, and those amazing extra talent. You helped Swerve make an amazing moment, so that's my nomination.
That's good. That is a good one. All right, Jake, what about you? Do you have a nomination?
I'm going Khadija Zayn. I think she's the MVP. I think she's my 24/7 champion of the week. Sitting there watching what happened to her husband. She was there with him all along. And boy, did she give Chad Gable shit for it. That's going to be my 24/7
Okay, so we got
nominee.
Sami Zayn's wife, Khadija Zayn. We got the security guards. Mine, it's not Bronson Reed, although it should be, but because he continues to be an MVP.
It will be
just
one
pointing
day.
out there, will be one day. But I was going to nominate PCO, but I was going to nominate him because he like dead ass converted my friend into a TNA Impact fan. Like, hey, my friend Wyatt legit came over to watch Monday Night Raw. We were working VCT. He was so excited to watch wrestling with someone. I was like, yeah, sure, come on through. And then my other friend Vansili came over, and we were watching. And Vans has never like watched pro wrestling really. He like knows a little bit about like old stuff, like most people do, but that's about it. And then Wyatt is like a brand new fan, but he only watches WWE. And I tried to get him to watch AEW, but it just wasn't really his cup of tea. So I was like, well, if AEW is not your cup of tea, but you like good wrestling and you like weird storylines, let me introduce you to TNA. And it just so happened to be the Monsters Ball.
I'm gonna have to drop some Valorant into my. I've dropped Overwatch League stuff into my commentary before. I'll drop some VCT in there.
Hey, I'm sure he'd very much appreciate it. But we got 3 good options this week. You know what? I kind of want to call it a 3-way tie, because I like all 3 of our options.
I do too.
Yeah, I do too.
So, first time ever.
Look at that. First time ever.
Co-champs.
You think the tag team champs at Dynasty is going to be a history-making moment? No, you all just witnessed it for the first time here. Co-champions. Khadija Zayn, the security guards from Impact, or from Dynamite, and PCO. What a time to be alive. Oh, boys. All right. Well, that is going to wrap it up for this week's Rebook. We thank you all so much for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, why don't you give us a like, subscribe if you made it this far. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We know this was a long one. I don't want to get to be 2 hours, so I'm just going to wrap it there. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you for being a part of this. Join us on Discord. Rate and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast goodness. And we'll catch you next time. Peace. Later, everybody.